I have two important critical assignments in this video today. Number one is to expose to you the enemies within. Second is to share with you the Biafra and Nnamdi Kanu's victory strategy. The first assignment, the enemies within. Many of you have been so confused. You have been trying to actually find out who are the enemies within. Who don't want Nnamdi Kanu to be free? Who doesn't want Biafra to come? You have tried. You have monitored them. You have carried out investigation. You've asked so many questions to really know who are these enemies operating within. And it has been so difficult to find out. It has been so difficult to really identify them properly and clearly. The reason is because you have been trying to find out who they are by what they do. Yes, you have been focused on what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they saying? What are they writing? What are they even doing? And they have been acting with pseudonyms or different identities, and you don't know they are the ones actually acting behind those names and those identities. So it became so difficult to know them by what they do. The simple way you are going to find out who are these enemies within is by what they don't do. Nothing is hidden from the Lord. Zapekare Antenia, Kale Pratokama. Listen, please like and share the video. Let's get started. Exposing the enemies within. I will be doing it spontaneously, side by side, together with the Biafra war strategy. Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 17. Thank you, Holy Spirit. La patama kamaderia anesobia anteke. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. 9. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow, I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands. 10. So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as the man of God, the leader of the people, held up his hands, then the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, what happened? The Amalekites were winning. Victory strategy is coming. Verse 12. When Moses' hands grew tired, what happened? They took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Who are they? Aaron and Hur. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side, one on the other side, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. As we have read from the NIV, it was time to go into the battle, but every one of us will not go into the battlefield. Division of labor. Moses being the leader, the one that God speaks to and gives the victory strategy, he ordered Joshua to choose the qualified warriors and armies to move into the battlefield to fight with the Amalekites. The Bible said, as we read, Joshua obeyed. Chain of command, command and control. And Joshua chose the army and they moved into the battlefield. Moses didn't join them in the battlefield. He went to the hill. As long as the hands of Moses were steady, hanging in the air, raised, lifted up, that the Israelites down in the valley where they were fighting with the Amalekites, they were winning. Moses was not in the battlefield, but his hands were lifted in the air on behalf of those who were in the battlefield by his command, by the order he has given, in line with the will of God and the purpose of God. The victory strategy. Complying with the idea, the command, the order, the instruction that is coming, stemming from the right leadership, that God has chosen, that embodies the strategy, the idea, the authority, the divine alignment that works for the victory for those who are at different or in different battlefields in the diaspora, in Biafra land, fighting for their nation. Joshua with the army were in the battlefield. Moses, Aaron, and Hur were on top of the mountain. Who lifted up his hand to the air? Who raised his hands up? Moses, not Aaron, not Hur. And as long as the hands of Moses were steady, were strong enough to be held up in the air, victory was taking place in the valley, in the battlefield. Joshua did not claim the glory because he was the one that commanded the armies into the battlefield, or that was commanding the troops and the armies in the battlefield. Joshua did not take the glory because he was the one on the ground. The Bible said that when Aaron and Hur observed that there was a change, there was a shift in the spiritual realm, anytime the hand of Moses came down as a result of weariness, as a result of exhaustion, as a result of fatigue, as a result of tiredness, the Israelites began to lose the battle and the Amalekites began to win. There was spiritual communication that made them to understand it. They did not go to the battlefield to find out what was happening. They didn't leave that very hill where they were. And they didn't go into the battlefield to ask questions, to gather this information, to take these statistics or this data, this analysis. No, they were in tune in the spirit. They understood by divine intuition, by divine supernatural revelation. Ke asa pekarida, egia barangana sosakema relepaka otiakena sontraba hangaba. This is why they make blunder. This is why they fail on their duties in their different or on their different assignments, because they are not spiritually in tune. They are not spiritually inclined to understand the changes in the realm of the spirit, in the spiritual realm and atmosphere, to know when the atmosphere is working against the victory of God's people, of the Biafran people, because they're in the flesh. They did not blame Moses. They did not begin to accuse Moses of tiredness and exhaustion or weakness. They didn't say, oh, Moses is no longer qualified to lead us. He cannot even hold up his hands up to 1 hour. He is no longer fit to occupy this office as the leader of the Israelites. It is time for a change of leadership. Moses, he can no longer hold up his hands in the air for the victory of the Israelites in the battlefield being commanded by Joshua. No, Aaron and Hur didn't say it, as we read from this very wonderful, powerful scripture, Exodus chapter 17, from verse 8. They observed it, and they began to reason. They began to iron out strategies. They began to put their heads together to find out what should be the best strategy. What are we going to do to stabilize the hands of Moses? that his hands will not come down. Victory strategy. How do you find out the enemies within? As I said from the beginning of this video, not by what they do, but by what they don't do. The enemies within will not think like Aaron and Hur. The enemies within will not do it. To stabilize the hands of Moses so that it will remain up high in the air for the victory of the Israelites. To stabilize the hands of Nnamdi Kanu. To make sure that they hold the right hand and the left hand of their leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In order for the victory of the Biafran people to be consistent and constant, the enemies within will not do it. Rather, they will allow the exhaustion, they will allow the fatigue, they will allow the tiredness, they will allow the weariness of the leader to continue so that they will use it to justify the coup, the leadership hijack, the overthrow, to justify the reason why there should be leadership change. The enemies within will never ever think of or strategize on how to hold the hand of the leader that has become weak, so that the leader will continue to be strengthened to function in his leadership position for the victory of the Biafran people. That is one of the ways to know the enemies within. At this time, it was not by choice that the hands of Moses became weak. It was as a result of work. It is natural wear and tear. It is natural. How old was Moses at this time? Moses was aged, but that doesn't mean he was no longer qualified to lead. Naturally, in his flesh, his vein, his bones, his arteries have become weak. Even a young man, can you be able to hold up your hand and keep it in the air for 10 hours? Can you? Is there anyone watching now? You are between 25 and 30 or 40, that you can lift up your hands, just like in the case of Moses as we read, and keep your hands, suspend your hands in the air for 10 good hours until the battle is fought and won. How many hours was the battle fought? How many hours did Joshua fight the battle with the Amalekites in the valley while Moses and Aaron were on the hill? So it is normal. Tiredness, human imperfection will play out from time to time in the course of leadership. The enemies within will capitalize on that to hijack and overthrow the leadership, to discredit the leadership. The enemies within will never look for a strategy, a workable, practical steps to help the leader to overcome, to sustain the leader, to strengthen the leader, to motivate the leader, and to inspire the leader to continue to play his leadership role. The enemies within won't do it. The Bible said that Aaron and Hur, they brought a stone and they put under Moses. They put it under him. And Moses sat down. Not only that, they provided a stone. Zapakamia, and that is what some of us are doing for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu right now. We are providing stones for him to sit. Shanea and Kemia, Baradia, Kaperada, Bane Katoria, Zalipate. Will you be among those that are going to provide support for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that he will not be exhausted, that he will not break down and collapse? Not only bringing a stone for him to sit on, they say, okay, we are two. Hur, you are going to hold his left hand. Only you hold the left hand. This was not time for idleness. This was not time for gossiping. It was not time to blackmail Moses. It was not time to backstab him. No, or hijack his leadership position. Never. Hur, hold his hand very strong. Only you. Aaron, hold the right hand. Hur, hold the left hand. In cooperation, in solidarity. Emanabada. Nenebia Antoria Kipara. They didn't abandon Moses on the mountain and say, he's tired. If he cannot step down for me to take over, if he cannot step down for Aaron to take over, we will abandon him on this mountain. He doesn't want to step down. He want the whole credit, only him. He's tired. He can't even recognize his own imperfection and weakness. We will abandon him on top of this mountain. No, they didn't do it. The Bible says, as long as both of them held his hand by the left and by the right, Moses was no longer lifting up his hand by his own strength, even though his will and determination was still connected to the lifting up his hand. Even though his spiritual authority and the power of God, Amen Gayabara, Zulia Beradea, Lokepa Antemia Kambra Kosiabata, was still connected to that very demonstration. Aben Arabada, Spirit of God help me. Kabaradaya. He was relieved of the burden of raising the hand by himself. Shalabadaya. Mekarabada. The burden was shared between Hur and Aaron, no longer solely on Moses to raise his hands. They provided a stone for him to sit on, and both of them held his two hands. Since they discovered that this is the symbol of their victory, or Rabada, since they observed it by spiritual discernment, by the intuition, by the revelational understanding or knowledge of the Spirit of God, they didn't joke with it. They didn't toil with it. Since they understood that Moses is the symbol, that Moses is the anointed and the chosen one, regardless of his weaknesses at this point, very critical time that the Israelites were in the battlefield, they did not downplay the need to support him until the battle is won. They took away that stress from Moses, and they did not advertise themselves. And it was recorded to their credit that we are reading and studying and being inspired today. And as long as the hand of Moses was stabilized by Aaron and Hur, down in the valley, Shabbat, the army with Joshua, they were winning and defeating the Amalekites until the Amalekites were totally discomfited. Rapatamagada. That is the victory strategy. Imarabadana. That is the Biafra and Nnamdi Kanu's victory strategy. The opposite of what Aaron and Hur did is what the enemies within are doing today. They don't look for a stone that they will put under their weak leader to sit on. It may not be literal stone today, but a place that will provide a sense of comfort, a place that is going to replace his exhaustion, a role, an assignment, Shangamata, that is capable of helping Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to relax his muscles, to relieve the fatigue of the leadership, to relieve him of the stress. Kangaya Barakamia Untalibarada. Not because of his age. Like some of them are mocking Mazi Nnamdi Kanu today, that he's going to clock 60 years of age by next year, that he should retire. Lamana Aneto Atenga Zangia Sharika Ameka Boziane Pate, carnal man, enemies within. I am giving you an assignment. Ascendea Abarada. I am God's major prophet, Maxwell Nnawuihe. I'm giving you an assignment that will help you more to understand who are the enemies within. And if truly you are for the victory of the Biafra people, if you are truly for the victory, for the freedom of the Biafran people, you will avoid them after you identify them. I have shown to you what they don't do. They don't provide a stone for Moses to sit on. In this case, we are talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They don't bring any support for him. They don't hold his hand, holding it and making sure it is steady and stable. Rather, they try by all means, even though Nnamdi Kanu is not yet exhausted, Even though Nnamdi Kanu has not given up, even though Mazi and Nnamdi Kanu has not come out to say, I am no longer fighting for Biafra, they are the ones that are fighting to make sure that that becomes the result and the next step that Mazi and Nnamdi Kanu will take. The enemies within. The assignment I'm giving to you is this. When you go through the Facebook, when you go through the YouTube, when you go through X, all the social media, TikTok inclusive, through the internet, mark the names of the accounts, of the pages, of the profiles that are fighting against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Enedia, Abenia, Bramo Akepa Asalita. These are the enemies within. These are the enemies within. Take a screenshot of those pages. Take a screenshot of those profiles. Take a screenshot of those profiles, those pages, those accounts, those websites, those channels on YouTube. Take a screenshot of them and take note of them. They are the enemies within. I'm not saying that people are not entitled to the opinion. I'm speaking in the context of what they don't do. They don't provide a support for a leader that God has chosen, who is a symbol of victory, who is working very hard, who is being imprisoned for the sake of the victory of their people. Now they don't do it. They don't hold his hands to stabilize his hands so that his hands will not become weak and then he compromise. They don't do it. Rather, they look for a way to pull him down at all costs. They look for a way to label him a terrorist, a killer, a murderer, a dictator, a womanizer, a fraudster, a scammer, and all manner of things that this leader will give up and collapse on the mountain, Shaba Armenia and Benia Tubaria, so that they can blame him for the defeat, so that they can blame him for the failure, so that they can blame him and say, aha, we said it, that he's not competent, that he never wanted to restore Biafra in the first place. Mark them, and then you will be able to know that these are the enemies within. I'm going to stop here. I will come back to you again. I will come back to you again. Ebenia Abena, Rabata Emakia. If you are coming across this channel for the first time, Maxwell Nnawuihe, I want you to subscribe immediately. Horimata, subscribe immediately. Like this video immediately. Share it widely. Because there are those who are confused. They don't know how to identify the enemies within. They are being blown away and confused and distracted. And in their ignorance and their innocence, they have decided to work with and to support the enemies within. It is by sharing this video, liking it, that this message will get to them so that they will begin to retrace their steps. I will see you again. God bless you.
Subscribe on YouTube, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow Maxwell Nnawuihe for more updates. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Instagram for more updates.